are back from a week hiatus, live from Sky Cable, Channel 13, Waterboro area. NCAA Sweet 16 round. We go from 64 to 16, and right now we actually have some games in progress. Connecticut, Purdue. Connecticut's up by 5 at the half, kind of a low-scoring game, 30 to 25. Kind of expected with two good defensive teams there. We're also keeping track of the Xavier-Pittsburgh game right now, which Xavier holds a 4-point lead, and we'll keep you updated on that as we go. But, so far this tournament has, the seeds have held the form in this tournament.
Been a lot of chalk.
A lot of upsets, been a lot of chalk. When the brackets were first released, I thought there were maybe a couple of teams that didn't deserve to be in their in the tournament, and one of those teams is actually in the Sweet 16 right now, and that's Arizona.
Definitely.
I just believe that yes, they've won 2 games in the tournament, but that doesn't validate them being in the tournament. I mean, 19-13, terrible road record.
Lost 5 of their last 6.
Lost 5 of their last 6 games. They're lost in the first round of the Pac-10 tournament. But I guess you got to give them a little credit. They have come out and played well so far. But I think their tour is going to be ending tomorrow when they play the top seed Louisville Cardinals, who
I agree.
Who's they've been up and down this tournament as well.
But like Billy Packer once said, win in advance. Survive in advance.
It's all exactly. It's one game. If you lose, you go home. It's that simple. It's not a 7-game series, so you got to be at your best every time. But when you look at these Sweet 16 matchups, we'll just talk about the Connecticut-Purdue game. What strikes you is the big factors for both teams if they want to get a win in this game?
For UConn, it's definitely their inside play. The playoff Hashim to beat is very, very important, especially with Robbie Hummel and Keaton Grant and Trent Platestead now playing their best ball of the year. And I definitely think Jeff Adrian, he's going to have to make some shots like he did against Texas A&M. When they played off him to hit the jumper, he hit the jumper almost every time. It seemed like he hit like 5 or 6 in a row at one point, and he was definitely having a tremendous game. Tonight, not so much. They've played off him again. Purdue's at the same strategy, and they've gotten a little fortunate. It's not that they're playing great defense. It's more that Adrian's been off with his shot a little bit. For Purdue to really spring this upset, one, they can't turn the ball over. They turned the ball over right as the half was ending, and UConn was able to get that 5-point lead because of the turnover.
It goes to a 2-possession game, and that's big.
You're right. That's a huge 4-point swing. And also, Robbie Hummel, he's really got to play well. He's hit some perimeter shots already, but I really think he's got to get some drives, and I think they got to get some points in the paint so UConn will start respecting their inside game, so they have to lay off him on the perimeter, and I think that opens the door for a guy like Keaton Grant.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think that it's going to be Purdue's going to have problems, I think, scoring inside with those UConn bigs. I think Tavit's already blocked a few shots in this game. So I think Purdue, they're going to have to make the long-range jump shots. Otherwise, I think Connecticut's just more talented all around.
I think they are.
I think Purdue will hang tight with them, but I think UConn will pull away here late in the second half, win this game by maybe like 10 points or something, and then advance.
I agree. Maybe fouls could, if they put them on the line, I'll try to extend the game.
But, I mean, it's low scoring, so, who do you think that would favor in a matchup like this? I think it might favor Purdue, actually.
It could favor Purdue. They play that rugged style in the Big Ten. I mean, they've seen teams like Michigan State who like the game low scoring. But UConn, they can obviously throw it back to the old school Big East play, where this was an average halftime score. So, UConn, Jim Calhoun is definitely not foreign in terms of coaching games that are very low scoring and are very, very tough defensively.
So that's Connecticut-Purdue in a nutshell. The next game we got going on is Xavier-Pittsburgh right now, and we can see that Xavier holds a 6-point lead. What is going on with Pittsburgh, man? Did they show up to play in this tournament these first 2 games?
It doesn't really seem like they have their downslide really, I think, began in the first round of the Big East tournament, their first game. And everyone feels that long layoff really made them a little rusty, and they lost that edge that they had.
The momentum, they lost
the momentum they had going through the season when they had that big win against UConn on senior day and everything. People feel, that was a few weeks ago and now that's all behind them. And also, the pressure of possibly being a 1 seed could get to them. They've never experienced being a 1 seed before. Jamie Dixon's never coached a team that's been this good before.
That's an excellent point.
And some people don't really know how to respond to that pressure. If you got to remember, a guy like Mike Krzyzewski's got 3 national titles now, but for a long time he was thought of as the coach who couldn't win the big one because people felt like he always would crack under the pressures of making it to the Final Four.
Well, I agree. I think the way you respond to that pressure is you win games.
You're right. You need to come out there and
play. That's
how
you gain your confidence as you keep going on through this tournament. Now Pittsburgh's cut this down to 2 now, so maybe they're going to start to get on a roll here. I still like Pittsburgh to get to the Final Four. They just have too much talent on that team. How are you stopping Blair
on the inside?
He gets 6 offensive rebounds a game.
That's huge.
Sam Young can put up 30 points without breaking a sweat. Levance Fields makes big shots. They have everything on that team.
They definitely have what you need, but history does work against them that they've never beaten a team that's higher than a 6 seed, and as you see, Xavier's a 4 seed. But, I mean, maybe beating Pittsburgh could be a good omen for Xavier because the last 2 times where Pittsburgh was a high seed in 2003 and 2004,
Right.
they were a 2 and 3 seed respectively. Marquette beat them in 03, and then Oklahoma State beat them in 04, and they both made it to the Final Four of those teams. So.
Now there's a little history in this game too with the coaches, right?
Yep.
The Xavier head coach was.
He was the point guard.
Okay,
he was
played for Pittsburgh. Okay.
Yes, he did. He was Pittsburgh's point guard way back in the 80s, actually.
Okay, I was misunderstood there. I'm not as caught up as you are on these things, so that's why I was asking.
Speaking of caught up, though, it looks like Pittsburgh has caught up now. They've got 5 quick points, and I think you're right. I think they do have a lot of talent. I mean, you definitely can't you can't just count on a guy like DeJuan Blair just to bail you out with an offensive rebound every time. So I think there's going to be a time where Levance Fields, where he does struggle with his shot at times. I think there is going to be times where he's going to have to hit shots, but he has, like you said in the past, hit big shots because you can't just rely on giving it to Sam Young with a deep 3 just to bail you out.
Agree. I totally agree, and we're going to keep an eye on that game. I want to get into the later matchups for tonight. We'll save the main event for later. All right. We're going to start with Missouri and Memphis to be played out at Phoenix Stadium. 2
very evenly matched teams.
I agree.
Missouri showed me a lot. They had that big lead. They were up 16 in the first half against Marquette, and then they really let that lead slip away. Marquette with Dominique James actually returning when no one thought he would. He was cleared to play. And also Hayward, they were hitting some big shots, and they actually took the lead. Marquette definitely showed a lot of mental toughness, and they showed a lot of character coming back and hitting their free throws down the stretch. Then you got Memphis on the other hand. They got a scare in their first round game, but then they pulled away late to win by 11, and then I really feel like they put on a clinic against Maryland. They really just had too much size for Maryland with Dozier, and they had Tyreek Evans running the point. He was doing a great job running the show, and they really just put on a great offensive exhibition.
They did what Pittsburgh didn't in their second game. They both struggled in the first round,
But then Memphis responded.
Memphis responded and came out and beat a pretty good Maryland team. Didn't just beat them, they demolished them.
They did, and Maryland was playing well at that point,
Yeah.
They were definitely hitting a high point in the season, and Memphis definitely, I think they really showed the naysayers who said they don't deserve to be a 2 seed. I think they're really earning that 2 seed.
Well, you could have made the argument they could have been a 1 seed, and it was smart by grouping them in Connecticut in the same region.
Everyone wants to see that.
I believe you're going to see that matchup.
A lot of people do believe you're going to see that matchup. I personally don't think so. I definitely think that Missouri's actually playing their best ball at the right time. I saw them play earlier this year against Kansas. They have great penetrators, and they have guys who can definitely get on the boards for the offensive rebounds. I feel like they have enough size on the inside to compete with guys like Taggart and Dozier, and I definitely think they also have the guard play to actually shut Tyreek Evans down. And Tyreek Evans, I'm just going by saying that he's just a freshman, and I think that, there was never Nervous Purvis Allison, and I think
no.
I definitely think that freshmen are different today than they were back, in the 90s. But I think he will crack. I don't think that he's a Carmelo Anthony type player.
No, I wouldn't put him on that level yet. He's got
a long way to go.
Well, I don't know how
he's not Derrick Rose either.
He stays, in college. If he stays 2 years or 3 years, it's a big factor. I like Memphis in this game.
In a close game?
A very close game. I think like you said, these 2 teams are very evenly matched. But I think Memphis will win this game by a point or 2. Missouri.
It can go either way.
Not to take it away from Missouri, Marquette spoon-fed them that game.
That's true.
The big turnover there late.
Yeah, when he stepped over the line. I think that was Hayward actually
stepped right on the line when he's inbounding the basketball.
That's why I think if you're just not thinking and the pressure gets to you, plays like that happen. Just ask Chris Webber.
Yes, remember that. Do we have any timeouts left, Coach?
Exactly, and you didn't.
He didn't, and that ended up, I don't know that cost them the game, but it didn't help them.
Definitely didn't help their face.
Now, for the game that I know you've been going crazy, you've been wanting to talk about this one, is the Villanova-Duke game. This is probably the best matchup in the Sweet 16. These are you're talking about evenly matched teams. You got 2 evenly matched teams here.
Definitely. I think that I'm saying this not only as a Duke fan. I'm saying this as a strict basketball fan. I think that this so far is going to be the game of the tournament. I think this is the one that everyone's looking forward to so far. You got 2 extremely evenly matched teams, as you said. You got for Nova, both teams have their strength in the perimeter, and for Villanova, they got Corey Fisher and Corey Stokes and Dante Cunningham, and they have just all this great guard play. They have a lot of experience. They have a very, very good young coach, Jay Wright, who coached them to the Elite Eight back in 2008, so he knows what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's going to fall under the pressure of facing, Mike Krzyzewski, who's always walking around with that aura of being.
Yeah, I don't see there being any intimidation factor there at all. I think the Nova kids are excited to play this game.
I think so too.
And how about from a Duke perspective?
From a Duke perspective, Mike Krzyzewski had a great quote about Villanova, and I think they proved it in UConn earlier this year, and also in other games. Even if they lost, they're not going to lose. You have to beat them. They're not going to just give you the game and lie down and say, when you turn the ball over and make dumb mistakes. You really got to beat them. You got to outplay them, you got to out-hustle them, and you have to outsmart them at times. And Mike Krzyzewski says, hopefully we can do that tonight, is what he said in his quote in the paper. From a Duke perspective, I would definitely be nervous about, trying to guard Dante Cunningham, and I would definitely be nervous about Corey Stokes and Fisher. Fisher comes off the bench and can have 25 points off the bench in a heartbeat. He's a great player and he's a great distributor of the basketball. I really think it's going to come down to the guard play, obviously, and I think that Gerald Henderson's going to have a big game. He's too good not to show up in this kind of game.
Big factor. I think this game is going to come down to John Shire's very important.
You're correct. I think it's going to come down to two key players. John Shire, can he hit shots? And I think it's also going to come down to actually three players: him, Nolan Smith, and Elliott Williams. Because I feel that they might use the same kind of strategy that Maryland used, where they just double-teamed Henderson and Shire the whole game and dared Nolan Smith and Elliott Williams, who've not proven to be very capable shooters, to take open jumpers, and they're going to say, you have to hit these jumpers in order to beat us.
That's the right strategy. I think you have to employ that in this game, and I think that's what Jay Wright will do. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. These are two good offensive teams. Like you said, Duke does not turn the basketball over. They're very efficient in every possession they have. They're very efficient.
Then there's Villanova on the same token.
Villanova's also very efficient, but the play of the tournament, I think, for Duke anyway, was the play Shire made against Texas.
Going out of bounds.
He threw the ball all the way down the court.
To have the presence of mind to do that. That's
very smart.
You're right. Heady basketball plays. When you have that high basketball IQ, when you're really thinking about clock, time, and possession, and score, that's the kind of things you need to win a national championship, I think.
Well, I think that game is going to be a war.
I think it's going to be a war. I think it's going to be either way. And your prediction?
Sorry. I think Villanova is going to win this game. I think it's going to be something like 85, 81, something like that. I just think this is the Big East year. I think they're getting at least two Final Four teams, maybe three.
The year of the Big East, when they did it actually they did it back in the 80s when they got Georgetown, St. John's, and one other team they got.
Nova was 85. Was it 85?
Yeah, no, in Villanova actually.
Nova won it, I believe.
And Nova won it all. Could they do it again?
Very possible.
If you want my opinion, I think Villanova marches on tonight. I think you're right.
Really?
I don't even think it's going to be a 4-point game. I think it's going to be a 2-point game. If Villanova does score 85, I think Duke's scoring 83 or 84. I think it's going to be that close.
I can't wait to see this game myself. It's going to hail in comparison to these other matches. But I want to swing from Thursday and go to Friday's games now. We're going to start with the Midwest region here. That's going to be played out in Indianapolis. First game is, we were briefly touched on this earlier, Arizona and Louisville. Arizona's had their little, I wouldn't even call them a Cinderella.
No, they're not Cinderella, because everyone knows who Arizona is.
Exactly. They're not Cleveland State, who had a great win against Wake Forest.
Yeah, and they're not George Mason.
They're not George Mason. They're not Western Kentucky.
They're not Gonzaga in the 90s.
I don't even consider Gonzaga now. Gonzaga is a big-time program.
They are.
And we're going to get to them in a couple of minutes. But I think Louisville just has way too much for Arizona to handle.
Yeah, I definitely think if Louisville can come out and they can hit shots, and Samardo Samuels, who's been a beast on the inside all tournament so far, I think they're just going to overwhelm them. I think it's going to be one of those cases where when George Mason did make it to the Final Four, everyone was like, could they go all the way? But then they ran into that Florida team that was just so hot at that time, and Florida just ate them up. And I think that's what's going to happen tomorrow night.
So we both agree that Louisville is going to trounce Arizona.
I agree.
And now I want to spend a little more time on this game because I think this is a really good matchup as well as Kansas, Michigan State. And I got to be honest with you folks, I did not have either one of these teams in the Sweet 16. I had USC beat Michigan State, which obviously didn't happen. So, and it's the first time I believe in a while you had the 1, 2, and 3 seeds all advance to the Sweet 16, which tells me that the people who made the brackets did a good job.
It definitely means that the selection committee definitely made the right choices and who deserved to be put in what region and also in play what team, and also, basically evaluating their total body of work for what seeding they earned. And I think that proves that you're exactly right. In this game, Kansas, again, I've said all year, they've played really well. They got a lot of heart, but on the other hand, they're just so young. They don't have any returning starters from last year's national championship team. Collins and Little and Arthur, they've done a great job trying to really carry the banner of that national championship team. And I think that they've done a great job trying to repeat. And They made it a lot farther than I thought. I thought they were going out in the second round, but
Yeah,
obviously
West Virginia. West Virginia.
What happened?
How many of you people's brackets
Got
you
hurt
have
by-
West Virginia going out in the first round? I would say not very many.
Not very many at all. I thought West Virginia would be in this position tomorrow night, but it's going to be Kansas in that position. And
Oh, I guess we have calls here. We'll take line
do.
1. You're on the air. Hello?
Hello?
You're on the air.
How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
Tell me, where did you got UConn going at?
I got UConn going to the Final Four, but I don't think they'll win a national title. I think they'll end up playing Louisville, but I think UConn, they have a chance to win the national title. I just don't think they're going to this year.
Mm-hmm.
How far do you have them going?
I got them getting knocked out tonight.
knocked out tonight.
You
Wow.
think Purdue's going to take them tonight?
Yeah, I really do think so. I really do think so.
Wow.
Well, it's only a 5-point game.
To the Final Four.
Who's your Final Four?
Syracuse.
That's a hot pick. A lot of
That
people
is.
like Syracuse to come out, and they're playing great basketball right
They
now.
are.
They certainly have a good chance of beating Oklahoma.
I got Duke getting knocked out tonight too.
Really?
Uh-oh.
Really?
So do I, though. So do I.
Yeah, it's okay. I think a lot of people do.
Nova knocked them out.
So you got Nova, Syracuse.
And then Purdue. I think he said Purdue.
You said Purdue.
He's got Purdue winning tonight.
Who's winning the whole thing?
I'm a Big East. I'm going with Syracuse, man.
Going with
All right.
Syracuse
Well,
to.
thanks for your call, man. I got a
you.
Syracuse fan here. That's impressive.
That is.
I was born in Syracuse, by the way.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I don't know if you ever knew that. I
No,
was born in Syracuse, but a lot of people like Syracuse in this tournament.
They do.
To come out of that region. I personally don't think they can beat Oklahoma.
I don't think they can either.
Very close game, though. I think Blake Griffin,
Is
who
the difference.
is Naismith Player of the Year.
Wooden
I
Award
don't think
winner.
it's close,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
He's a runaway.
I think he'll
winner.
be too much for Syracuse to handle.
I think so too.
But is it impossible for Syracuse to go out there and beat them? No.
No.
But I like
impossible.
Oklahoma, though, in this game. Very close game, though.
I think Syracuse, if they want any shot, I think Anuaku, he's going to really have to step up. And I think not match Blake Griffin point for point and rebound for rebound, because that's just not going to happen. But, I mean, he cannot let Blake Griffin go crazy like he did last game with 32 points and 17.
Right.
I mean, like...
Keep him around 20.
Yeah,
That's a good job. Keep him around 20 points.
That just speaks volumes for how good he is. If you say Blake Griffin only got 20 points and 12 rebounds on you, that's doing a good job on him.
Yeah, you've done your job.
And that's still a great game.
And obviously, offensively, you're not going to get a lot out of him.
No, a guy like that, a guy who doesn't really shoot very well from the foul line, doesn't have a lot of great offensive
The offense
moves.
is going to go from Johnny Flynn,
Yep, and Eric Devendorf.
Whoa.
Foul time there.
Eric Devendorf, Paul Harris. It's going to come from their guards, not from their bigs.
You're right, not this game.
So, I go think Oklahoma on that one.
I definitely think so, because, I mean, people forget they got more than just Blake Griffin. They have his brother, Taylor Griffin. And I think there's something to be said about brothers playing together. I think, the Collins twins in 2001 were a great example. They got them all the way to the Elite Eight. I think family, they tend to trust each other, even though they don't always go to the same school. They just tend to really have that synergy between them because they grew up together and they know each other so well.
Yes.
And I think that play on the inside is what's going to make the difference in the game.
And now this UConn game is started, and they're trading baskets here early on here. 34-25 Connecticut, still a 5-point lead here. Should be interesting. I'm getting a little nervous. They're better than Purdue. They got to win this game.
They do.
Bottom line, they got.
I definitely think that they're definitely better than Purdue, and I think late in the game you're going to see that talent differential. I think it's going to be one of those games where I think Purdue's going to stay close, but you're never going to have the feeling that Purdue actually has a chance to win. It's more that they fight hard, but they just can't seem to get over that hump.
I'll tell you what. I agree. But Connecticut just goes through these stretches that drives you nuts, where they play very sloppy basketball, and if they're not careful,
out of the game.
And now it's only a 3-point game, so
Wow.
we'll keep everyone abreast of what's going on there. But the final game here in listen up back there. You're gonna want to hear this. Gonzaga, North Carolina. That's your favorite. Isn't North Carolina your favorite team?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
One of your favorites, right?
I love Tyler Hansborough.
I think Tyler Hansborough has had a great college career, but he has not played well in this tournament,
He hasn't so far.
especially defensively.
Defensively, he's been lit up a couple
Not
times.
played well.
And also, I mean, he did have 14 points in that victory over LSU. You got to remember, he had 12 of those in the first half.
That's true.
So he really didn't show up at all in the second half.
Well, the only guy that
Ty
showed
Lawson.
yeah, exactly. And that was my next point. The only guy that showed up for Carolina in the second half was Ty Lawson, and
But he carried them.
And you wonder, he is going to get the nod. He is going to play against Gonzaga, but
How effective?
how effective will he be in this game? And that's why I have Gonzaga knocking off North Carolina in this game. Just because of that. If Lawson's 100%, then Carolina probably wins that game, but I don't think he's 100%. You saw a couple times when he landed on his foot, it was bothering him.
It definitely was. You could see he actually had to go over to the bench to basically have it retaped during the LSU game, but he showed a lot of heart and a lot of courage. I have to give him some credit for that. He definitely played well.
Very
gutsy performance. But I think Jeremy Pargo, he's a very, very strong guard. He's not as quick as Ty Lawson, but he's got a very, very strong upper body.
Yes.
And I think if Ty Lawson isn't at full speed and isn't full health, Pargo is going to be able to use that muscle to really just drive past him a lot. And I think he can get Lawson in foul trouble. And I think he could also get their big men in foul trouble with his drives to the basket, especially if he gives it off to their shooters on the wings or gives it up inside in the paint. I think they can get guys like Deion Thompson and guys like Tyler Hansbrough in foul trouble. And if Lawson isn't able to play up to, I'd say, 85, 90%, I think it could be a long night for them.
It could be a long night for them. And just, if Roy Williams needs to call anyone, he can call Coach Calhoun up because Gonzaga gave UConn all they can handle this year out there.
Yes,
the overtime game was a great game, back and forth game. So
it was, and AJ Price hits that big three to send it into overtime, and that's how UConn was able to pull it out.
So, that being said, let's break these games down. Let's say you got Connecticut winning. You got Missouri.
Yes, I have
Who
Missouri.
wins Connecticut, Missouri?
I'm going to go with Connecticut.
Okay, so you got Connecticut in the Final Four.
Yes,
That's that's from the West. Now, the Midwest. You got Louisville over Arizona, and then you have Michigan State.
I got Michigan State.
I agree with you. I think Michigan State is going to be too much for Kansas to handle. So we have Connecticut playing who?
Michigan State.
Oh, so you like Michigan State to beat
Louisville.
Okay, so Connecticut, Michigan State there, and on the other side,
I got Nova versus Pittsburgh, and I like Pittsburgh marching on in that game. Even though Nova did play them close this year, people argue that they could have won that game easily if they just made a few key plays down the stretch.
I agree.
And then I have North Carolina still winning tomorrow night. I think that Tyler Hansbrough, a guy who's that good, who's had such a great career, even though we've talked about he hasn't played very well in this tournament so far, I think that means he's due for a breakout game. I think it means he's due for a 30-point night.
Well, it's do or die for him,
It is.
This is his last shot.
And it's why J.J. Redick came back in 2006 and he couldn't get the title, so Tyler Hansbrough might suffer that same fate. But I think that he is due for a breakout performance, and I think you're going to see him at his best tomorrow night.
I think he's going to have to be. They're going to win that game. He's going to have to put up 25 points, 15 rebounds, I think.
You are exactly right, and I have them playing Oklahoma. And I have UNC beating Oklahoma. Everyone wants to see the Blake Griffin-Hansbrough matchup.
I have that as well in my bracket.
And I think that
that's a great matchup.
That would be a fantastic matchup. I have UNC marching on in that one. And then, of course, at the very, very bottom, then we have, who are the two teams again? They are, so we got Connecticut versus Michigan State, then we have UNC
versus Pittsburgh. And then who do you like in those games?
The UNC Pitt game, it really depends. That game would be, if that was to happen.
That could be the national title game. I mean, those might be the two best teams in the country.
That could be. It could be kind of like 2004 again when Duke and Connecticut played each other in the national title game.
That's a good correlation, yeah.
And I don't know who would win that because I really think the key would be whoever controls tempo in that game is going to win, bar none. If UNC makes it go up and down and it's a track meet,
they're going to win. We'll lose.
We'll lose. But if Pittsburgh can keep it in the 60s to 70s or even the high 70s, I think they're going to beat them.
And I think another key in that, if that game were to happen, I think a very important key in that game is the striped shirts.
You're right. Yeah, the way the officials call it, and I think if they take over the game kind of like they did again, the correlation back to the Duke-Connecticut game, like how the officials took it over, I think that definitely favors North Carolina. They're deeper. And if DeJuan Blair pulls an Okafor and he goes to the bench with 2 fouls with 16 minutes left in the first half,
it's going to be a long night.
That could be a long night.
It will be a long night.
It will be a very long night.
Question.
And on the other side, I have Michigan State and UConn. I think Michigan State's a great team. They've got great guard play. They showed they could hit big-time shots. They had that freshman who came in, Freeman. He scored a career high that game.
Yep.
I think they would need another game like that, an unexpected contributor that I talked about to beat UConn. But I think Hashim to beat like he's been all year would just be the difference maker.
So then you have Connecticut playing UNC.
Yeah.
And you have UNC.
I have UNC. I have Tyler Hansbrough doing what he came back to school to do.
Yeah.
What about you?
My Final Four is I got Connecticut playing Louisville, and I have Louisville winning.
Really?
I think Jerome Dyson will hurt them in that game. The perimeter defense in that game would hurt them.
I think you're right.
So I'd pick Louisville to beat Connecticut. Gotta be fair. And then in the other game, I have Pittsburgh and Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. You got Blake Griffin getting the better of Hansborough there.
And I love Blake Griffin going up against Blair. I think that's just two bulls.
Oh, those are just two monsters.
You might as well put them in the ring, man.
You're right. You might as well.
I like Pittsburgh in that game, and I like Pittsburgh. Louisville.
You think the guard play for Pittsburgh would be the difference in that game?
I think Sam Young would be the difference in that game. Because I think not necessarily that Griffin and Blair cancel each other out, but I think Sam Young would be able to take that game over. I don't think there's anyone in Oklahoma that could stop him.
I agree. Because if they do put Blake Griffin on him, then who's going to guard DeJuan Blair?
Exactly. And then you have Pittsburgh-Louisville national title game, and I just think Pittsburgh will get the better of them this time.
You think so? Wow.
Yeah.
I think if that was to happen, I think you're right. I mean, if Blair gets in foul trouble again, it could be another tough night for Pittsburgh. But I think, again, Louisville will not have the support of their home crowd on their side like they did in the first matchup. And I think you're right. I think Pittsburgh's the kind of team that definitely learns from their mistakes.
Well, looking at the score right now at halftime, they're down by 8 to Xavier, so I don't know. Every time I pick a team to win a national title, it's like Heartbreak Hotel. Every single year, I never get it right.
It's been Heartbreak Hotel a lot for Pittsburgh fans, like I said. They just can't seem to get over that hump when they are facing. In the Sweet 16, they got that Sweet 16 jinx going on, it appears apparently. But there's still a whole other half to play, and I think Pittsburgh's definitely going to come out and get the first run of that half, and I think they're going to come back and make that game very, very interesting.
I do. Well, I guess it's about time to wrap things up here. I just want to say that this first season I've enjoyed the show immensely, and I appreciate you coming out and helping me because sometimes I need to get my facts straight, and you're here to clean that up for me, and I appreciate all your contributions to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone in the back who's helped me out. My extreme gratitude to you all, and we look forward to seeing you next season. Take care, Waterbury.
Thank you.
It's your call.podbean.com. Take care, guys, and enjoy the tournament.
Nice. Want to get some news? Want to get some news? Just in my shop?